Crypto.
Hey yo, make sure you stop by CryptoKingz88.com and cop your exclusive gear at CryptoKingz88.com.
Peace to the fam. It's your Crypto King, PUP, and I'm back at it once again. And I'm just here to get you excited about that cryptocurrency, huh? Peace, family. I got an amazing episode for you today. I brought through the Bitcoin expert himself, Evander Smart. Welcome to Crypto Kingz.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
I mean, first off, we see the title. They're going to first see, Bitcoin expert. Who is this guy calling himself the Bitcoin expert? So I would, like you to give the family, an introduction, of yourself and of your title. And let the people know who you are.
All right. Yeah. When I was a young man, I wanted to learn about the world of money. We didn't have a lot of money growing up. My parents, they taught me, go to school, get an education, get a good job, get a career. And my mom, she's college educated, graduated from NYU. My sister, she graduated from Harvard for law. And I decided to go to school for economics. And I learned a lot of economic theory in New York. And I went on to be working on Wall Street at JP Morgan, 2008 to 2011. Wow. And I learned a lot that the things I was learning in school, economic theory, really didn't apply to the real world. So kind of adjusted my feelings on what college is worth. But I learned a lot about the world of money. So I appreciate the education, working in New York and working on Wall Street and helping people get the brokerage started. And I had a little problem, getting started. I'm naturally kind of shy, naturally kind of introverted, but my job was basically to meet 10 new people and, talk to them about their finances, talk to them about their banking, what they're looking to do, help them do more with the firm or where they're trying to go.
And this was more independent?
No. This was directly with the firm. It was in the bank as a banker.
Wow.
And, I learned a lot about sailing. I learned a lot about myself. After a couple of years, I really started to pick up the brokerage side. So I started doing a lot of annuities, FINRA certified, Series 6, Series 63, Series 66, and state annuities certified. And, but the problem is the more I learned, the better I did. I just kind of became disenchanted. I learned more about the history of the banks and how they created the run on the banks back in 1907, 1908. I started to read the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. Started to watch the Zeitgeist movies and stuff, kind of just started to broaden my horizons a little bit and get a little bit more wisdom. And I started to pick things up. And, there's a lot of backdoor deals, just a lot of unethical stuff going on. The firm was also in a kind of transition, and they were taking over other banks. They were bringing in other bankers who weren't certified. They weren't properly trained. And they were cutting into my commissions at the bank and all sorts of stuff. Just wasn't the right fit. And I didn't see a long-term 20, 30-year career going on. And I was speaking to the older bankers there, the more experienced guys who were 55, 60 years old, looking towards their retirement. And they're like, hey, they're trying to get me out of here. They don't want to pay me my benefits. And I was thinking, is this something I want to do long-term? And I was talking to them and they're like, you know what? I really can't recommend it because it's getting rough for me. And who knows what it's going to be like for you 20 years from now.
Right.
So I decided to hightail it out. I didn't even really have a place to go. I just said, you know what, this is not for me. It's just not working. And I just have a lot of confidence in myself. I've always been able to get a job, always interview well. Don't really have a problem with that. So I decided to walk out and really look for the meaning of money. I wanted to find a true economic program that I could get behind ethically and just something I could go long term with. And I found Bitcoin in 2013, and my life's never been the same since. And I'm very unfortunate I wish I had found it earlier, but everything's been great with that since. So I'm very.
So in 2013 was your first time being introduced and your first time in investing?
I found out about it actually on the mainstream media where they were talking about the bail-in in Cyprus. And I didn't even know what a Cyprus was. So I learned a lot about how the banks are, again, it tied in with the banking. So I have a banking background, and they were looking basically to start taking people's money right out of their accounts. And the people there were actually using Bitcoin as a hedge, and they were looking to protect their wealth. And no one really used Bitcoin as an economic safe haven before that. So Bitcoin went from $20 to more than 10 times the value, went to $225 in a few weeks. So this is what brought it to the mainstream consciousness. This is what got it pressed in the Western world. And I decided I better learn more about this. So maybe this is what I'm looking for. And I figured that actually the best way for me to learn is actually to start writing articles, look for ways to get Bitcoin. Because now I left the firm. Now I don't have any money now. So I got to find a way to hustle and get some Bitcoin together. So I used the writing as a way for me to educate myself and educate others. And just kind of went from there.
So now we're tapping into the writing. So you actually, became at this point a writer for multiple websites, that wrote articles and had news articles about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. What are the list? Is there a long list or just a
my first year I spent with CryptoCoins News, and CryptoCoins News was kind of one of the bigger ones right at the start. And now it's still right there, probably 2 or 3 in the space. So yeah, I wasn't even making that much. I was just writing, just kind of going with it. So they were paying me $20, $25 an article. I was writing an article every day, pretty much every working day. So I was writing maybe 20, 25 articles a month. So I was making $500 a month. They throw me a bonus because, they probably bonus based on the amount of views and shares and all that stuff. And I was by far the writer who was getting the most views and all of that. So I did that for a year and it was cool, but then I started getting other opportunities to make more. So decided to move on, and I've written for DC eBrief, I've written for Cointelegraph, Bitcoin.com, News BTC, and BitConnect, and a few others. So I've been around.
Wow. So you've pretty much written for the main ones that, at least I know 3 out of those main ones that you just listed. Yeah. And like, I actually, from a personal perspective and from a community perspective, from what I observe, we actually rely on these type of articles and your expertise, that you put in these articles. So, I definitely, commend that position, what I mean? Because now I'm actually speaking with someone that is behind the scenes, that is gathering the information, gathering the data and putting it together in an article for us, to catch up on. So,
right. Yeah, it helps you and it helps me. So, this is how I supported myself. I didn't have a job. So I haven't had a 9-to-5 job since I left the firm. So it's going on 6 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So this is how I support myself, and I'm full-time into the community, and that's really what I care about. And I'm not going backwards. So
I gotta say congratulations, because, so many of us, we wake up to the system, all in very similar ways, to be honest, this is very similar to the way that I woke up, where I had a sales and marketing background and a retail background, and I'm looking at how the commissions that they paying me, or the hourly wage that they paying me for the amount of hours that I'm putting in and the customers that I'm working with. I said, just imagine if I was doing this with my own business and my own product, with my own service. Imagine if I put this same, I'm sitting here in their stores, making their stores look good, and their customers love me for their product. Like, what about me? I'm getting scraps, and then I wake up to the way that system is, and then I wake up to the banking system and the whole government history, I got exposed to just researching more and more. Once you open up that rabbit hole, it just gets deeper and deeper. And you start, just like you were saying, it's like, man, I don't know if this is actually going to be for me. I thought I would be doing this, long term, because I'm very good at it. I'm an expert in my field. I'm the best salesman in my store. Number 1, number 2 salesman in my store at those times. But at the same time, it's like, man, I don't know if I could rely on this system for real long term. I need to rely on my skills, on my value that I bring. I bring a lot of value to these businesses. You know, so I mean, you're that right there. I have to congratulate you on that one, because to take that step, you know, from a great job, probably great paying, you know, to say now I'm going to rely on my skills. You know, that's the type of inspiration, you know, a lot of people like to see, or like and need to see, for them to take that take that great step.
Well, yeah, I was just watching this video on YouTube from Bob Proctor, and he does a lot of this type of training as far as just wisdom and education and the secret and affirmations and those type of things. And he had a great video, and some people do this kind of automatically, and some people kind of need to be explained to this, but really your life changes once you make a decision. You know, it's about making a commitment. And I made a decision that banking's not for me, and once I found Bitcoin, I made the decision that's my spot. And this is what I'm doing. And then once you are fully committed, I mean, mind, body, and soul to something, the world changes around you. You know, avenues start to open up. And once you're focused, and once people know that you're for real, they will help you. The right people will come into your life. The right opportunities will show up. You will get this inspiration. You will wake up with new ideas. You'll be able to change your industry and all of that. So that's a big part of life, is just making a decision and being strong with it. Now, you know, it's cool that you have a job, you know what I'm saying? If you got a job, and then on the back, you know, at night or weekends, you want to work on your website, you want to work on your side business, that's fine, because you got to pay the bills, you know what I'm saying? But you got to be committed mentally to, this is my future. This is what I'm doing for the next year, next 5 years, whatever it is. And once you do that, your whole life will change. You don't have to worry about, you know, the little details of it. It will fall into place, but you got to be serious about it.
Exactly. Looking into the live chat, we got a question from Joe. The question is, saw something on the news today about them regulating Bitcoin. Will you explain, please? Now, I've heard you know, a little bit of this news that came out, but I have not been able to dive into any research behind it. Do you have any info?
I've been working all day.
I
try and avoid following the mainstream media at all. So.
No doubt.
But as far as regulations, I mean, they're going to do what they can. There's only so much that they can do, but it's in their interest to try and regulate and tax Bitcoin. And basically, it's a nod of it's kind of a vote of confidence. It's kind of a pat on the back. At the point where they have to react to it now.
There you go.
When I came in, they were laughing at it. So, you know, it goes back to the Mahatma Gandhi quote. You know, first they laugh at you, and then they're ignoring you, then they're laughing at you, and now they're fighting, and now you've already won.
Right.
Now that they have to react, because you're beating the system. You're destroying their system. You look at gold and silver; they're up 10%, 12%. Bitcoin's up 1,200%. Yes. So you have to react to that. You don't have a choice. Bitcoin's been the best performing currency the last 2 years, 7 out of the last 8. You can go back to the New York Times, you can go back to the Financial Times of London. 3 years ago, they were saying Bitcoin's a scam, Bitcoin's dead, and so on and so forth. Now they have a dedicated person at each of these major outlets who their business is to follow Bitcoin news, write Bitcoin articles. It's already won. And it's all on grassroots. There's no PR department for Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's backing up Bitcoin except for the people using it.
There you go.
That's the biggest compliment, is that just on grassroots, just on word of mouth, it has gotten this big.
Yes, I think the mainstream news and the government has become more positive, even though, yes, they're trying to regulate it. I mean, whatever they're trying to do, it's only in a reaction to where it has become now, and where it has gotten to now, and where it's going to go. So now they are trying to get in position somehow, some way, you know, just
and
like
honestly, they just want a piece of the action.
They just want a piece of the action.
They want to cut.
Just like everyone else getting hyped about this, you know, they like, we didn't even get into the coin market cap. Let's get into the coin market cap and show them. This is why it's so hype. It's so hype because where's Bitcoin at today? Bitcoin went up $1,000 overnight in Bitcoin. Let me hit the refresh, because right now it says 13,000. We at 13,000. Let me hit the refresh and see if we get a see. Oh my God, we had 13,442.
You should click that and then go back to this time last year. What was it trading at?
And I'm gonna click that
A year ago. What was it trading at?
and go back a year ago.
You can use the left side, just hit 1 year and it'll show you.
1 year. Oh, left
Those
side.
little boxes on the left.
There we go. 1 year. So if we go back a year ago, oh Lord, it was at $763, family.
And see, I got family members that I got in last year. I got them in last summer. They bought in.
Yes.
And now they think I'm a hero. They think I'm a superstar, you know?
Yes. Hey,
and I was talking to them for 2 years before that, before they finally pulled the trigger. You know what I'm saying? I was talking to them about it in 2014, but you know what happened was last year, the talking heads, the mainstream media, they started to pick up on it. Some of the gurus were like, they were starting to back it up. So it wasn't just me, the mainstream media. A lot of, some older people, they follow mainstream media on everything. Yeah. And now some of the talking heads, you got the Jim Cramers of the world, and they were saying, all right, they were flowing with it. So they need a little backup. So
listen, exactly. Just like getting in last year and you see these type of gains on your investment, on you getting into Bitcoin early. I was one of those, people. I was that last year at that price, right. Right there. That was one of my first, buy-ins. And it's
so the way I see it, I mean, you're a legit early adopter. If you got into Bitcoin before it was $1,000. If you got into $4,000, you're an early adopter. Now that it's past 10,000, it's gone to the next level now.
Oh yes. So, and because listen, we understand how the market moves. We understand these little corrections that it have is just little corrections, but I can't. Do you see it now? Because you're the Bitcoin expert. Do you see it going from a 13,000 to a 700? Can it do it? Can it possibly do that?
Well, by the end of the decade, yeah. I mean, the way it's moving, if it keeps moving the way it has been, and especially you got the happening in 2020 when production's reduced again.
Right.
What I'm interested in seeing is actually, I'm not worried about Bitcoin. What I'm worried about is the US dollar. Yeah. Because if you're comparing Bitcoin to the US dollar, what if the dollar loses value?
Yes.
So I personally feel by the end of the decade, forget about Bitcoin. I think the dollar itself will lose its global reserve currency status. It will not be the reserve currency overseas in Russia and China. They're not doing trades right now. They're doing bilateral trades without the dollar. So they're making all these deals. They're working all of these side angles and they're working around the dollar. Dollar's losing value every day. And then once that collapses, once the petrodollar collapses.
Let's see if I can pull up a dollar value chart. Here you go. Look. We'll show the people. This is what your dollar is doing compared to what Bitcoin is doing. If we want to talk about longevity, all right, and we are, because we're comparing Bitcoin price to a dollar. We have it in comparison to a dollar right now. But like you said, what about when Bitcoin? There is no dollar to compare it to. It's
we kind of lose focus because the dollar value of Bitcoin is one of the least important things. It's fun to talk about, and obviously it helps with your wealth and all that. But we don't compare the internet to how many fax machines it replaced. You know what I'm saying? That's not how you look at the internet. But Bitcoin is modeled after the internet. We've done this before. We've seen how this movie ends. It's the newspaper versus CNN online. I mean, we know who wins this battle. And Bitcoin is going to win the battle against the US dollar. It's not the question. The question is, when will the dollar, fold? When will it give up? Now, all the bankers, all of the establishment, they're putting everything they got to protect the dollar right now. And, again, with overseas, all the issues, Saudi Arabia, they're looking to join with China and starting to do everything in yuan, do everything in gold.
Gold.
Once that's tightened up and once they've come to a real deal and they say, hey, the dollar, we don't need it anymore. U.S. is going to have some real problems economically, and the dollar is really devalued. Then, Bitcoin's going to take off through the moon. But I'm worried about my people living in the U.S. The U.S. has never experienced a dollar devaluation. People just assume that the dollar is the stuff, and that's how it's going to go.
Not taking no consideration in this chart whatsoever. Not taking. like I mean, the normal, the regular people that really just go to work 9 to 5 every day, check on the CNN news to see what's going on. They don't get to see a chart like this to show them how much the dollar is depreciating. How much
No, the mainstream media is not going to tell them about that. And then, I learned about this, 3 years ago. I saw this for the first time 3 years ago. You're not going to see that on CNN or Fox News. They're not going to tell you that.
Right.
That's their business. So they're not going to try and undermine their own business. Their business is the dollar, but the dollar is dying. It's a dying dollar, and I don't think it's going to make it through the decade.
So that would bring me into a question. When will the price? Well, see, once we get into what will the price? How could we price it, especially if it's gonna in long term? But when will it stabilize, and why will it stabilize?
Well, it'll be based on how many people are in the system. So the more adoption, the more Bitcoin nodes and all of that, that will stabilize. And compared to where it was 5 years ago, it has stabilized a lot. It is still volatile compared to dollars and gold and oil and so on. But the more people are using it, the more people in the system. It's like a ship in an ocean. So you have a little tiny boat. Right. And just run into these big waves on the Atlantic Ocean, it's going to be rocky, but the boat is getting bigger. The Bitcoin boat is getting bigger and bigger. And the US dollar is the biggest boat. It is the Titanic. And it is heading towards that iceberg. It is going down. So,
right.
So Bitcoin.
So for the people that say, like, but we're still using the dollar, yes, we're using the dollar right now at this moment, but by what do you in the near future, very near future, we won't need to use the dollar to buy Bitcoin. We'll be using something else, or we'll have just the power.
They may still be called a dollar, and they may be a digitized dollar. So what I expect to happen is basically all of these major nations, they've already spoken about it. Japan's already spoken about creating their own version of Bitcoin, their own national digital currency by the 2020 Olympics. That's their plan.
Wow.
The US, the Federal Reserve has already spoken to IBM about creating a national digital currency. So all of these major nations, they're going to have their own versions of Bitcoin. So again, this is proof that Bitcoin has won this battle.
Yes.
They're just going to knock it off.
Definitely.
They're going to take open source technology. They're going to apply it and they're going to make it closed source and they're going to monetize it.
Right.
And it's not going to be as good. They're going to take all the good parts of it.
Use that to go ahead and get you some real cryptocurrency.
Right, exactly. So now is the time to get out of this currency that's losing value and put it into something that is gaining value, that's getting stronger.
Wow. Hey, think about it that way, though. It really is gaining value. Like you have a chart that if you compare this dollar value chart to Bitcoin chart, it's completely opposite. So let's see. My next question for you is as a writer for like the BitConnect, what do you think about that whole blockchain?
BitConnect's been one of the success stories of 2017. It's gone from nothing. I feel like an idiot because they told me about it. I mean, I was their head writer last year, and they told me about it, and I blew it off. And they said, hey, we're going to make this coin, and we're going to do this lending platform. And I didn't even pay attention to it. I was doing my own thing. I totally blew it off. And it went from nothing, now it's a $300 coin. So if I had gotten in at 5 cents, I mean, I'd be a multimillionaire. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that said,
holding the coins, not being a part of the lending.
Yeah, not even the lending platform of it. So the coin is actually a better investment than the lending platform. I'm a part of the lending platform. I've used it. I'm more than double my money on it. So it's been great. My problem with the BitConnect platform is it's a totally closed loop network. They don't have any real relationships with exchanges. It's their own exchange. So they can shut it down at any point and they can take all the Bitcoins that are in their system. So I've seen how their system is set up and they run it like a bank. I mean, it's beautifully set up. They have like 5 or 6 different streams of income.
Yes.
So there's a lot of incentive for them to keep it going. But again, when you have that much control and you have no checks and balances, at some point they're going to close the doors, and all of those Bitcoins that are invested in their system in order to get those BitConnect coins, in order to get that interest, they can just lock it down, take all those Bitcoins and roll out. So
now,
that's the
can you
problem. I think
possibly
it's great.
do that
It's a
with
great
the
idea for
blockchain?
2017. I don't think it's a great idea for 2018 because I don't know how long they're going to keep this up.
Right, because it's now going on 2 years.
Right. Next year will be the second year. So these things, the way these are structured, they tend to last, 18 months at the most.
Okay. Nice. So another question would be, what would be the for anybody that's really like afraid, of getting into Bitcoin, that's still afraid of getting into Bitcoin or any of the cryptocurrencies, period. I don't even have to, it's now way too many. We have a whole now top 20 to choose from that have, proven themselves with their blockchain technology and see that they have, plans to make some disruptions in this industry. What would you say, to people that's still afraid, that think, this is a scam, it's not going to last? Like, what would you say?
Well, again, first off, nobody's saying to take everything you have and put it into Bitcoin. And most people aren't, insane like me and just throw their whole life away in order to find Bitcoin and then, run with it. I was kind of fortunate that I found it and it worked out. But it's a new asset class, and it's the money of the internet. It's the internet of money. So the hardest part about getting started with Bitcoin is making your first purchase, just buying $10 worth or $100 worth, just getting a feel for it and getting comfortable with the concept. So that's why I made the website bitcoinuniversity.online, because if you talk to anybody who has money, they will say, do not invest on something that you don't understand. Don't invest in anything that you don't understand. So Bitcoin University is going to educate you in how to understand how Bitcoin works. So yeah, you need a wallet. I can show you how to set up a wallet in 3 minutes with a video, or you can do the webinar, and I'll go deeper into how Bitcoin works and how it works for millions of people around the world. Because there's about 25 million Bitcoin wallets out there. And as far as active users, we're looking at 5-10 million people around the world and growing. And especially now with this price taking off, I mean, you can look up CoinDesk or Coinbase every day. They have 100,000 new people setting up wallets and so on. So it's starting to go viral. 2017 is the year it started to jump off and go viral. It took about 8-9 years, and the internet did the same thing. Again, my point is we've seen this movie before with the internet.
Yes.
My question to you is, 20 years ago in 1998, if you could have bought shares in the internet before there was Google, before there was Facebook, before there was Twitter, if you could have bought shares in the internet, would you have done it? That's the question. That's how you have to look at it.
Yes.
Because if you would have, you need to start now. This is your next opportunity. This may be your last opportunity to invest in the internet of money. You may have missed out on being the Etsy or the eBay 20 years ago, but you have a shot right now.
Very true.
So, I mean, if you're hardcore like me, I would say, hey, if you got a $300,000 house, I would say sell the house. I've got that on my website. I've seen people on Reddit say, hey, I got a home equity loan. I took out a loan for $300,000. I put it into Bitcoin. Now it's worth $1.9 million.
Woo! Listen,
So,
family, listen. I did a
what's costing you money and what's making you money. So you need to make a decision.
Man, he said he has an experience. See, he's speaking from experience too. That's what I always like to highlight. Like that when someone is speaking, like I know where it's coming from. It's coming from someone he spoke with. He spoke with someone that said, listen, I have an equity. I put a $300 equity out on my house, and now that's worth 1.5 million.
That's on Reddit. So you can look that up on Reddit.
Look it up on Reddit.
Our Bitcoin, it's on there. So
someone asked on another interview on another channel that I was on about, oh, I have a 850 credit score, what can my credit score do for me with Bitcoin? We like, how much can you take out? You'll be able to pay that off easily.
Yeah, exactly. And then take out the loan, take out whatever you can, and then pay it back or whatever. Because the problem is, let's say you don't even pay it back. Let's say 5 years from now, you screw up the loan, you didn't pay it back, you put it all in Bitcoin, you made fortune or whatever. Honestly, I think the current financial paradigm is getting ready to collapse anyway. 5 years from now, they're not going to care what your credit score is.
Facts.
Milk. and stuff.
That
You know,
and that is
we're
the
looking at
that is the
hyperinflation.
impression
We're
I
looking
have.
at some real problems. So your credit score is not going to be the problem.
There you go.
The question is, what kind of digital currency are you going to have? Are you going to have the U.S. Fed coin? Are you going to have Bitcoin? Or are you going to have nothing?
There you go. There you go. That is that's speaking. You're speaking from the true understanding of the situation that this system is in. You know, that this whole entire shift, this whole entire monetary shift, this whole entire conscious shift, this shift of wealth, everything that's happening right now, that's literally saying this is what's happening. This is the reality. Like you can't just sit here and put your own self in FUD and give your own self FUD and say, you know what, I'm just going to sit back and wait. We don't got time to wait no more. You know, for so much time, we've been sitting back saying that, oh, this system is corrupt. This system is that. You know, look at the 2008 financial collapse and all of this stuff. People talk about it all the time. People talk about 9/11. They use all these reasons to say they wrong. The government is wrong, or this system is wrong and corrupt. But they don't have the next move to get out or move forward.
Well, that's my point. And to take it even a step further, I mean, talking about my minority people, talking about Latin people, talking about Black people may have been oppressed, may have, you know, over generations.
Come on.
This is your opportunity.
Talk to them.
This is the next step. You have an option now. You can't say, oh, I didn't have a chance. If you're in the US, you're in the greatest country in the world. You have more opportunities economically than anybody. You have a shot. You can actually walk down the street and run into a Bitcoin ATM. Facts. You can actually do that and take your dollars and invest them into something with a future. Facts. So, you know, it's huge.
Listen, it's as simple as this too, because you took it right there where it's like you don't have no excuse. I came from a realm where, you know, I was around more and more people that was teaching me how white supremacy is holding me back and we are oppressed right now. We still enslaved and da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, but what about Bitcoin? Like if I just take, you know, like we could have, what about cryptocurrency? Like what if we all came together and did an ICO for the urban community? You know what I mean? Or had a block and we taught certain people about how to do mining, and then we start our own blockchain, and we got now a group of miners, of Black Latino miners. Like that's running our own network now. Like we can do the same thing. This Bitcoin is just the example, the first example of what we can do, and now it's here.
Well, again, it's like a tree of life. So Bitcoin is the trunk of this tree. And then you have the ICOs and the altcoins, which are the branches and the leaves on that tree. But you got to start somewhere. You're not going to be able to get to the ICOs and altcoins until you get into Bitcoin. So you're going to have to trade your Bitcoin in order to buy an ICO or buy an altcoin. So you might as well get educated. Again, do not invest in something you don't understand. So get educated. Use the website I've created, bitcoinuniversity.online, to get started.
There you go. There you go. I appreciate that, man. I as you see, man, we got the Bitcoin expert here, you know, today. I really appreciate you for coming and doing this interview with your Crypto King PUP. There's one last question before we go, and I think we have inspired the family, you know, in so many different ways through the information. Let's take it to your predictions. What do you predict? What is your future prediction on where cryptocurrency or Bitcoin is going?
I mean, as far as dollar value, I can't really predict, because then I don't, you know, in 3 years, I don't know what the US dollar value is going to be. I think the US dollar is going to run into some major problems by the end of the decade. And I think the whole world economically is set up for a reset, or an economic reset. So 5 years from now, like the top 30 countries, Great Britain, Japan, China, India, India's already got a digital currency. They've already gone national digital currency. They started that last year. Everybody's going to have their own version. They may have a little paper money left, but they're banning cash left and right. So they're phasing that out, and they want to control all the digital currency. That's really the game plan. You got to think, who's controlling the space, who's on the back end, and what is their plan. Their plan is they want to make everything digital so they can track everything you're doing. How much you bought, where you bought it, how much you bought it for. If they make a national digital currency system, they can stop you from taking money out of the bank. They can stop you from money taken out of the country. So China's already going through this. That's what they're working on. So it's a control grid. So it's all about control. And the central bankers, the governments, they want to control the monetary production for everybody. Bitcoin is your option to get out of that box. So you want to get out of the matrix. So you want to be Neo, you want to come in and out. That's where Bitcoin comes in. So you got to make that decision. Are you ready?
You ready? Woo! I appreciate you, my brother, man. This has been a great episode, and I just hope we got you excited about that cryptocurrency. Ha! Peace, family, and I'll see you on the next episode of Crypto Kings. Peace.